Residents of Kamukunji are set to benefit from free cancer screening, which is currently underway at the California Resource Center. The free screening has been approved by the Texas Cancer Center, and we join our reporter Caroline B, who is in Kamukunji for an update. Caroline, good afternoon. Now, this specific year, the tagline is "We Can, I Can." How is the screening coming along?
Good afternoon to you, Zinzi. Well, the event started as early as 9 a.m. this morning, and it is part of the World Cancer Awareness Day, which is being held today in a wake of statistics which are quite worrying in, I can say, treatment of cancer. Because if we look at the statistics that we currently have, almost annually, a total of 39,000 new cancer infections are actually, or diseases are actually reported, against the deaths of 27,000, which is very, very worrying. This is because there is a problem with the awareness, and currently when I actually found my way here early morning, we found that there were actually very few people who decided to come to do the screening. And as much as there were walks around, the people or the residents, the villagers around this place, the turn-up is still very worrying. And right now I'm actually joined by one cancer expert, maybe to just give us information on how we are faring as a country in terms of treatment and the progress that we are making in the treatment of this disease, which has caused several deaths across the country. Well, thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Maybe you can start by telling us your name and maybe your position of where you are.
My name is Daniel. I work with the Texas Cancer Center. In terms of treatment, I would say we have really tried. The government is trying. We have seen even in terms of screening, we have the facilities, all the level 4 facilities are able to screen most common cancers we are seeing in this country. Also at Texas, we try as much as we can to create awareness. Like now, this cervical cancer month, we are creating awareness. We are also doing free cancer screening, and we are welcoming all people to come so that we can, because cancer, when you screen it early and you stage it in, get it in early stages, it's treatable.
So let's talk about the challenges which is incurred when during the treatment of cancer. What are the most prominent ones that you have observed in your career?
The challenge in treatment of cancer actually is in terms of finance and affordability. We find that the cancer medications are not cheap. And even the machines that we also use to treat radiotherapy is also costly. But the government has tried and introduced insurance like NHIF. NHIF is paying for treatment of cancer in most of the facilities, especially in Kenyatta National Hospitals. Treatment is free when you have an NHIF card.
So when we talk about all the types of cancer, is there one that we can say is more prominent than the other? Maybe in men and in women?
Yes, we are seeing that breast cancer is still leading in terms of cancers that are affecting women, followed by cancer of the cervix. And then for men, we have mostly the cancer of prostate. And then that is cutting across the gender is cancer of esophagus and what we call colorectal cancer that affects the gut. Yes.
So where does all these types of cancer leave children? Because, at the end of the day, they also need to be screened for, different types of cancer. So where do they lie?
As you'll understand, cancer is abnormal development of the cells. Most of the cancers that we are getting in adults is because of an acquired factor that the patient has been exposed to over some time. And the cancers that we are getting in children, most of them are inborn errors. The child is born with an error in the DNA, and therefore there's a development of cancer in those babies. And mostly we are seeing the cancers that are involving the brain, the neural tissues, and the kidneys, neuroblastoma, what we call nephroblastoma, and leukemias, the blood cancers that are affecting mostly the children. Yeah, but the good thing with cancers that affect the children is that they respond very well to treatment, as opposed to cancers that affect the adult. Because adult, we are getting them at a very advanced stage, and that's why we are emphasizing on early screening. Yes.
So maybe during the talks that were being held here, the question and answer session, yes, I picked something quite interesting, where, the cervical cancer can actually be transferred from person to person. Maybe you can expound that to us. Is it Can we say, is it contagious? Is there a virus that can be passed on from someone, from person A to person B?
I want to begin categorically by saying that there is no cancer that is transmittable from one person to another. Cancer is not contagious. If you have a patient at home and he has cancer, please just take care of them. You cannot get cancer by touching or taking care of a person who has cancer. But for cancer of the cervix, we are saying that the etiological factor, the causative factor, is a virus known as human papillomavirus, in short, HPV. HPV is a sexually transmitted virus. If you get this virus, normally your immunity is supposed to evacuate this virus from the body within like 6 weeks. But sometimes you find that if your immunity is not able to fight it, this virus can stay in there and transform the cells of the cervix and mess up with the DNA makeup. And therefore the cells start multiplying. And that's how you get cancer of the cervix. But this virus is sexually transmittable. So if you have multiple sexual partners, if you're starting your sexual advances in early age, you're increasing your risks of getting cancer of the cervix. And cancer of the cervix, we have seen also HIV as a virus, it reduces your immunity. So if you have HIV and HPV at the same time, HIV will reduce your immunity to fighting HPV, and HPV will take over and transform the cells of your cervix into cancer. And that's why we are saying, but the good thing with HPV, there is a vaccine for HPV. We are saying for children between the age of 9 to 13, they can be vaccinated. We have 2 types of vaccines in Kenya, Cervarix and Gardasil. These vaccines are used and very useful in preventing the infections with HPV. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Daktari, for that very important insight on the treatment of cancer as we mark the World Cancer Day today. As you've heard, it's very important to get tested or even screening early enough to prevent maybe complications when it reaches the final stage, considering that the treatment of cancer is still very high and awareness among the population is low despite efforts from maybe the medical side in the treatment of all this, isn't it?
Hey, thank you so much, Caroline. Caroline B, our reporter at Kamukunji, where free screening is happening on this February 4th as we're marking World Cancer Day. Now,